No signals yet. What to do? Okay, some signals now. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, July 7, 2021. I think this is my fourth attempt today, early morning, to do. Three attempts went nowhere. I had to re-enter all details, and by chance now this is started. I don't know how long it shall work. Well, let's continue our job. Certificates, as usually I show, that's my habit, just to give certification to you people, to make sure that you're listening to someone who is, of course, in field. Relation of professionals to quality and SHE, and title of talk being, every day as I say, civil field engineering, quality structures, COVID-19 and HSC, engineer's role, designs, construction methods, contracts, organizations, communications, coordination, and why quality. There can be questions by everybody. First, I have to be very serious about COVID-19 issue, because that is directly linked to all world people. COVID-19, you know, it's a grave one. Currently, it's very much terrific. It's very much annoying. You can say it's very much destructive. In fact, news what I have got recently, currently, delta, lambda, alpha, beta, gamma, we all know this in mathematics. These are names, symbolic names given to various kinds of variants that we call variants of SARS to COVID-19, which officially started in 2019. It has got various names, various mutations, various, like alpha, beta, gamma, delta, lambda. Delta means they consider they started from our country, Bharat, India, and lambda they consider started from Peru, Peru, South American country. Now it's of course at advanced stage. Delta, COVID-19 Delta has occupied itself now. It has gone to about more than 100 nations. WHO also published plan of in which areas this has been working. It's working all over world. Africa, South America, Europe, and you can say Asia. Of course, certain tiny areas are there where it's not entered yet, but there is no way it won't enter. It has to enter. And now further is that lambda, started from Peru, is also having more power than what delta has. Delta had 2.5 times power than original one. What more it has, it's not been given yet, but coefficient will arrive. Maybe it is 3 times more harmful than original one, or maybe 50% more harmful than delta. Means a big question mark, big emergency, you may say, big urgency has been there for all citizens of world. People are also getting crazy all over world. Economy is sitting on heads of all. Economy is sitting on heads of all world nations. They want to open up also. Simultaneously they want to handle COVID-19, delta, lambda. I think we should have patience. Just like a verb I heard yesterday, COVID, about COVID. People have been tired, but COVID is not tired. That's true. People are tired because we are very small people, very, very low immunity people. We don't know what's going to happen, but COVID knows everything. How it's going to harm, how it's going to punish humanity. Some say, and that I agree with, that it still started. COVID has started only. It's not ended while we are thinking it's ended. Means I am also thinking that these vaccinations which we are using is very good. There's no other way except to raise levels of immunity of everyone. But I am also discovering, I talked to many those who have got both doses of vaccination. I think, I'm not sure, I means talked to many people, I dealt with them. It seems that vaccinations are also going to hit mind in some way. Change of behavior, change of conduct, change of thinking. I think so, being a common citizen, not a doctor or a scientist. A common citizen, that it is impacting our mind. It's first question mark that not only this vaccination, COVID also impacts on mind very much. You see, it's like that. We are seeing, tornado is coming, cyclone is coming, tsunami is coming, and they want to stand to face it. I don't know how. Either to take protective measures, loss prevention measure, and give way to it. But if you just stand on its way, there is no way you can face it. For example, you can say many countries where restrictions are being lifted, like UK. Now, UK wants to lift restrictions. That Prime Minister is very rigid in this way. That Prime Minister knows there are problems, there are issues. COVID is very active, but they say no, take your care yourself, learn to stay with COVID-19. All right, that's fine. Learn to stay. But why do you remove preventive measures? He says, no, it's law, I want to dissolve. You take your own responsibility, whether you have to wear a mask or you don't have to wear mask. You have your own judgment. Now, if every country thinks like that, I think whole world shall become dirty fish reservoir. How can you expect every person to understand what is best for that person? If a prime minister cannot understand, even after keeping into considerations existing circumstances, prevailing circumstances, prime minister is expected to be more intelligent than all others. But it seems that prime minister is thinking politically, economically, rather than existence of human life. That is, demerit of prime minister, and I think it's not demerit of this prime minister. It's generally for all heads of the state all over the world. They are more interested in economical development rather than survival of humanity. This I understand. We can digest loss of economy for a couple of years, but we cannot digest if more crores of people die. Already crores have gone, and if we continue like this, ignore COVID, we just are only interested in living for economy. I mean, you have to decide whether you have to live for economy or you have to live for existence, survival. Economy is not our ownership. It is, after all, wealth of nation, wealth of world, given by nature. If we don't survive, if crores people die, or we are difficult to exist, what remains meaning of economy? Economy is essential, but health is also essential. States are not doing what they should do, but they think there's only one solution: vaccination. Vaccination is one solution. What about other solutions? Means, why do you want to feel free after having been inoculated? I've been immunized, means inoculated. Okay, I am inoculated. My doses have been over. What does it mean? Is there any guarantee? There's no guarantee that you will be okay. But I should not say that. Positive aspects must be considered. Immunization is very good. It gives health to everybody, that's fine. But precautionary measures are much powerful than immunization. Even if they are immunized, they should be using all means to protect themselves from ingress of COVID-19. That is what I say. Why don't you teach people to be careful, use masks? Why do you say don't use masks? Means, if a PM cannot decide, how can people decide? I'm really very much surprised what's happening all over the world. WHO says do not be in hurry, do not rush for lifting restrictions, but there is only one interest, lift restrictions. And it's not only in UK, it's generally all over the world. The UK example I'm giving because UK is having very acute impact, or it may be obtuse impact, you can say, later. In Bharat, India, we are a crazy society, we are crazy government, we don't care for health. That's very true. They think let them die if they want to die. To be very frank, that's my answer. Government of this country think if they die, let them die. I'll just keep my folded hands and weep, pass some tears. Oh, many our people have gone. That's our standard, established standard. They don't care for poor people. They care for only for rich. Now, who is vaccinated in Bharat country? Who's being vaccinated? You go to private hospitals and have vaccination by paying money. Means if you can pay money, you can be vaccinated. Otherwise, wait. That is our standard. And maybe we are not one. There may be many more such standards around the world. Means when population is more, there is no value of humanity. Means 80% people, 70% people who cannot afford these vaccinations, they have to wait for their time to come. And maybe by that time, they are because generally people are not using masks. As I've seen on road, about 80-70% people have been careless in using masks. This is a fact of life, because every day government of India publishes, oh, only 30,000, 35,000, 40,000, 50,000, 25,000. Means these are cases, and 500, 600, 700 loss of life, 96%, 97% they are recovered. Nonsense data. I still say nonsense data. They are misguiding nation. This is a fact. They don't record what's happening at home. This is fake data, partial data, unbelievable data, I can simply say. Because I don't trust my government records. And this not only here, it happens everywhere. Millions cases are happening in South America. Millions weekly cases are happening in Europe. Where is data? This is WHO stating, I'm not stating. You see news every day, you will find. I can't believe WHO because they have no country interest. They are for all countries. So my dear friends, it's very big issue. Means again and again I say, these politicians around world, generally I am saying, maybe some are good, like Gulf people, GCC, they are better than all others because they are in fact not politicians, they are emirs and kings and they care for their people. But we are exactly, absolute democracy works like in our country, like in US, like in UK or wherever. They all mislead people. Means it's a time for fun for them. What's the problem with Johnson? Nobody knows. He's acting like a fool. Really. I clearly say you are acting against future of people. You are not a PM then. Indirectly, you are trying to force them contract COVID-19. I mean to say this is very big safety issue, safety of peoples, safety of millions of people, and it cannot be taken just for fun sake. It cannot be taken just for talk. Talking is not enough. Talking for sake of talking is not enough. Time is very active for COVID-19. COVID-19 has not even started its swing full peak work as I understand. This saying wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 is all drama. There is no wave. It's complete ocean again. I again say it is ocean and ocean. We do not know depth of ocean. We do not know contents of ocean. Remember, still we are not able to go to ocean bottom anywhere in world physically. We can go only to few kilometers. Same way, this ocean of COVID, we cannot even know what is surface level of this ocean, what is depth of this ocean, what is size of this ocean. We do not know. It is ocean or it is sky. We do not know. What system does it have? We do not know. And maybe we shall not know it soon because we don't have that capacity. There is no harm if you use protective equipment. I don't know what's the problem with people of this world. Why don't you use a mask and keep happy? I don't understand. What's wrong with that? Means you want to show your nose and lips to others? Or what benefit you have if you don't use masks? It prevents you from this impact. And if suppose for a couple of years of your life, for safety of your life, for survival, healthy survival, if you use mask, what harm shall you get? You have to raise a question to yourself. What shall be your problem if suppose up to 2024 you use mask? It's only 21 running, half over, 22, 23, 24. Can't you use mask for a couple of years? Why do you want some stupid politician should advise you or should tell you? You become your own leader. You become your own judge. Don't worry about what these politicians say because it is your body, it's your health, it's your future, your family future. It won't impact on these politicians. They are only politicians, nothing else. They don't have any capacity. They don't have any educational qualification required in politics. So this is the lowest category of profession, you can say, in world. You may be president, you may be prime minister, but you are not qualified. There's no condition that you should have this much qualification. So you can be a completely stupid person. That's right. I can simply say that. Politician has no competency. It's just because you got people's vote and you came to power and you are abusing power at cost of health of people. This is complete rubbish. You are putting people into fire for what? For humor, image building? Oh, Johnson has done it. Blink, what is the name? I exactly forget his name, American president. He has done it. Or he has done it or that person has done it. Why? Biden, yes, Biden. Biden also did same. Remove masks. Hey, mister, you are only president. You are not God. Don't mislead people. Same thing happening in USA. Attack by Delta and attack by Lambda. People don't understand. News are coming very, screen one. Open news have started. If you want to see news, you have to go to at least 10 to 15 websites. Only then you can get reliable news. You can't get news through television, you can't get news through someone else, because people are gradually losing interest in this news. So, channels. Well, my duty is not to criticize all this, but because I keep analysis daily, I do it particularly all and details for this country. It is unfortunate that world is gradually getting lunatic. COVID-19 has been very smart since beginning. It's very smart. I think, and that is true, it impacts on minds of people. It impacts on minds of people so that minds of people stop working. That is what COVID is. Quality of thinking is reduced. Quality of health concern is reduced. Currently, economy is not important. Yes, it is important. I don't say no. But currently, economy is of lower value than survival. If you can't survive, what shall you do with economy? Tell me. If your health is gone, what shall you do with economy? If your relatives lose their life, you lose your life, what shall you do with economy? Economy is a requirement. But when you are sick, your body is not fit, your society is not fit. Even if there is economy, there shall be health problem. Which is more important, health or economy? Whole life is available. Once you deal with this health issue, COVID issue, you can do whatever you want. But you have not even started doing something. As I say, vaccination is no answer. The news said that only in India, Bharat, it's only 8% effective against Delta. Means Delta has bypassed 92% vaccination. Delta is bypassing 92% of vaccination. And if Lambda comes in, maybe these vaccines are zero value. Maybe, I don't know. Because Delta crushes it and Lambda may clean out both vaccines. That could be a possibility. Means there is a scare. This means we are living in darkness. We are living in wild, dense forest, dense wood, full of ghosts. What to do then? Only thing is, think. Scientists should clearly guide people, not politicians. Politicians are mad, I can say. They are mad. Don't trust politicians. Trust scientists, trust doctors, trust time. Trust what's happening. If you contract COVID and nobody would save you, what shall happen to you? What shall happen to your family? You have to think that way. Whole life is there to enjoy once COVID goes. You have to enjoy life. You have to make money. You have to do everything. But until that time, you are now in jail, in fact. Whole world is in COVID's jailer's jail. I call it COVID's jailer. In fact, COVID is a jail. Jail for humanity. We are in jail. And this jailer is very smart. Can't forget it. Well, I'm not going to discourage you. You resort to all means that are possible to have complete protection, practical protection I'm saying. Have vaccination, have your test done. Be sure whether or not you have contracted COVID-19 And even if your report is negative, don't enjoy, because there is no guarantee of these tests also, just like there is no guarantee of vaccinations. Yes, these are scientific, these are well analyzed, they are well tried, yet there have been reports, even if one man dies, means there is something wrong. You cannot take for granted, oh no, majority of people are getting recovered or getting protected. That statement I don't accept. Even if one person dies, there's a question mark. We have to understand that. That cannot be denied. That fact is fact. I'm very much concerned when I get news. I don't know why, but every day I spend time on searching out, on getting various news, what's happening, what's happening in UK, what's happening in America, what's happening in for example, Brazil, what's happening in Peru, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in Gulf, what's happening in Far East, what's happening in Bharat, India. It gives some input. So I condemn these publicities. I condemn this all data government provides, because that data is incomplete. They try to say which has no value. Our government, Bharat government, India government, tries to get data just to please people. They are not teaching them. They are not arousing their worries. Go. They teach, oh, no, we are very good. How many people have been? Only so many people infected. Only a few hundred have died. See, they say few hundred have died. If suppose 600 people die or 1000 people die, oh, this is very small. This is mentality of government, you see. Yes, 4000 died, there was news. 5000 died, there was news. But I multiply that with certain factor, because our testing speed have been very crucial. We have failed in testing since beginning. We have to realize this fact. Our government is having no infrastructure of test, or it is sleeping. All I can say, in Bharat people can be tested about currently 25 lakhs of 0.25 crores a day or 2.5 millions a day. But that has not been going on since beginning. So we have gone only to say 42 crores tests or 41 crores, I don't exactly remember. But it's only, you can say, around 35%, 36% like this. A country that could not test its people in 18 months. What do you expect from the government? The same government was at that time when COVID entered. Same government has been working, but this government has not done its duty. America did its duty, it tested people. Gulf countries all tested their people. Similarly, Europe did that very fiercely. And maybe others, I don't have data, but you say, our country thinks testing is not a requirement. There is no initiative from government for test. They say, we will immunize you by vaccination. And that's also not going on. If you have to pay, this means you are not worried about those poor people who don't have money. So you say, if you have money, you can survive. If you don't have money, you cannot survive. Then I don't call that resign as government. They are befooling people. They just are interested in money. They are not interested in lives of people. That's what I conclude about. Take care of safety. Take care. Again I say, don't believe in politicians. All same, no difference. This is not political statement. This is a statement which is fact of life. Government should work according to public requirement, but we have not been working as such. So I now move to talks of safety, because that is very important part of our life. When we consider safety, we consider our survival. I talked of safety organization system. We briefed on that, and I think many topics were discussed, like objectives, goals and commitment, standards, regulations, etc., safety targets and objectives, publicity and promotion, hazard forecast and identification, safety meetings, emergency responses, accidental investigation and communication training, occupational health, permit to work, personal protective equipment, subcontractors, inspections and audits, environmental issues, security, site valuation. Philosophies also we discussed something in philosophy, which is prime philosophy. Means what are principles that constitute philosophy behind supporting safety management or safety organization. That's so-called safety management system, the SMS, in which prime philosophy is safety of everyone, safe work practices, you may say safe work practices, zero personal accidents, zero works related accidents. Safety should be known to everyone without pain, and safety of existing services, damages to existing services, ignorance of safety actions, and then prime considerations, habits to carry out works with proaction in construction activities involving considerable hazards. Necessary that efficient safety management should be there, safety system should be there, system success, and like that each worker should understand working safely, safety requirement system, safety organization system, measures, review, analyzes and responds to all areas and cost effects of the impacts of to an overall project cost, management or organization commitment, adequacy of provisions, management of, you can say, management is obliged to be proactive, many detailed actions shall be made. So steering committee we talked of, there should be steering committee, etc., what it should do, conduct meetings, agenda, etc., etc. Then we had to see job description was one of that part. Everybody's job description should be given, and it should be in such a way that it looks practical. Generally said that job description is given in plans, okay, but specifically it should be given for everyone. Then audit schedule, management safety, safety resources, we all talked about that. Clarify safety policy, funding arrangements, safety meetings, regulation standards, and you can safety plans, line supervision, safety targets and objectives. Then we continued like that. Property damage, publicity and provisions, in which we said poster campaign, and likewise you can say it was publicity and promotion. It was incentive scheme for workers, poster campaigns, target boards, then exhibitions and displays, safety bulletins, safety you can say safety bulletins, and you can say hazards identification, then risk assessment and method statements, then you can say safety review. The method statement is, again I say, is very important part document. It's a technical document. You have to review future activities, requirements of project, allocate responsibilities for activities, assessment, consider technology of activity in relation to risks involved, design, format and approval process, risk assessment based on construction work method statements, shall review and approval by safety group, confer with construction personnel about construction procedures, and chart out safety methods, activity-wise based on possible hazards, allocate responsibilities for ensuring distribution and implementation. Then safety reviews, task observation, hazardous substances, audit trail, frequency of safety meetings, that you have to see, agenda to be set, area safety meetings, toolbox talk, and then steering committee performance. So let us say emergency responses. Think that let us just review little here. Let's say these are few points which we think what safety, these safety meetings I'm talking of. This is important point, safety meetings. Safety site meetings shall allow issues respecting safety to be considered and discussed for further action. Now, what is that? That's the major point here. In this case, AIOS, we now will see. Then it says meetings shall be regularly conducted, including site walkthroughs, which is considered best for on-site inspections, observations, and instructions. All particular activities safety application can be checked during such inspections. Frequency of safety meetings. Now you have to fix a schedule for safety meeting, define who shall conduct chair meeting regularly and deputy responsible for such chairmanship. Define meeting agenda, list it out. Define designations of key personnel who shall attend such meetings regularly. Previous meeting minutes to be agreed with or without comments. Minutes of meeting to be recorded, circulated and approved by all parties concerned, provided amendments or corrections are duly incorporated. Actions as addressed should be undertaken by concerned party in a reasonable time without certain considerable delays. Agenda should answer proper agenda that is fixed for this. It should enlist project title. That's important. Number one, title is title. Then area, which area you're talking of. Purpose, last minute significant issues, safety incidents, safety failures, accidents, investigation reports, actions on victims, safety at risk, negligence, appreciations, current resolutions, site walkthrough results, some other issues. Health and environmental issues are prominent. Ensure that they should be addressed. Anticipate future activities and chart out about expected activities. Scheme out provisions suggested be significant for adherence. This is, a very small agenda, in fact, practical agenda. Means area, purpose, last minute, these are procedures, safety incidents, failures, accidents, investigation reports. All this we have to consider based on common sense. Go to site, see what's happening. Means site walkthrough, that's called results of that. Some other issues, health and environmental issues. It's not, every time happens, but sometimes this happens. Health and environmental issues are prominent because environment is very important to be maintained on site. Good environment, then health. If people are not healthy, they can't work, they can't perform. It's very important to keep people healthy in good health. And it's very important the environment should be good for them. You can't say in dust they have to work, or in 45 degrees Celsius, 50-90% humidity of what means. You have to take care of that, ensure that they should be addressed. Anticipate future activities and chart out about expected activities. Scheme out provisions suggest be significant. Area, safety meeting. Meeting could be regularly conducted for various significant areas to list out various areas to list in hazards. All such meetings on extra importance may be arranged in addition to regular meeting for charting out additional solutions. MOM or minutes of meeting to be circulated by EPC contractor, site safety manager or site manager. Toolbox talks, you can say. Toolbox talks is very practical work, very practical, and this is, you can say, very important regime. Toolbox talk. You may say actually this is not only very important, this is the most important, you can say. What is after all toolbox? We are behind. Every worker uses tool, and that worker must know right use of that tool. It may be electrically operated, or it can be manually operated, or it can be hydraulically operated. Means whatever way it is operated, it shall be operated by human being, and that means by our workers. And if my workers or these workers do not understand how to use this safely, that state can say that state can lead to certain unbecoming situations. So toolbox talk bears practical significance actually at very initial site work level. Very initial site work level. Specific talks for specific topics or tools must be done, must be conducted, must be made a regular act. Every tool's use is to be demonstrated to workers. Records of toolbox talks to be made orderly. All foremen or floor leaders and supervisors should be trained to conduct all such toolbox talks because these are repetitive. To workers in respective known language, because there are many nationals on every work, many different nationalities work, and everybody cannot be expected to know English language or French language. Means you can't expect people to know that. There may be people who are required to be instructed or informed in their own language. It's important that until and unless use of tools is not made clear to all workers, workers shall use tools irresponsibly, leading to accidental injuries. It means use of tool is not made clear to every worker. Workers shall use tools irresponsibly, which can lead to accidents, injuries, or accidental injuries. Therefore, toolbox talk session is considered insignificant by some inexperienced engineers. I don't know why. Means everybody forgets, even engineers forget. You have to refresh mind of your workers so that they remain, active at least during 2 or 3 days to think of what was taught. But later, when you are used to that tool, you start earning confidence. I can use it best way, and that's point where you miss something. Precaution state is lost. So you can say that toolbox talk session is considered insignificant by certain people, certain engineers and supervisors, but they should understand professionally. Otherwise, loss of 10 minutes or 15 minutes on job is nothing if you compare accidents cost. So it's a must that even if workers already know about tools, how to operate, it's better to refresh that. We also study, in beginning we study some chapter, it's difficult to understand that. But second time when we study that chapter, we learn that with better speed. And then third time or fourth time, we know it much more better. That applies to toolbox education. Toolbox talk is called education. Educate people from time to time so that it becomes like a program in their mind. Now, steering committee's performance means what they perform. Now, leaders, project leaders, as well as directors should internally assess an overall justification of survival of steering committee to an extent when it has been effective, successfully disposing its brief charter, controlling safety on site activities. Replacement pertinent to its members may be made in non affirmative circumstances and whenever required, necessary or additional responsibilities entrusted to achieve credible efficiency. Emergency response. Now we have to define all steps necessary to implement a response policy for whatever emergent state situation, or we have to evacuate people, means we have to think of that. Evacuation and response procedures. What are procedures? This is very common. During emergencies, site or related areas require evacuation immediately without waiting. What is that? Personnel cannot be left to fire risks. How can you leave them? All enforced safety working arrangements require re-examination about whether or not adequate to meet current emergency situations. Set out fire plan for all prone areas in all directions, given full considerations of possible spread of fire. Define an assembly area to facilitate gathering of all personnel in emergent situation and should be located distant from fire origin. Chat out all arrangements about providing first aid and regular medical aid by shifting victims using ambulance to nearest either a medical center or a hospital. Appoint fire situation wardens. Appoint fire situation wardens for all sections. Wardens shall count respective heads during emergency. Withdrawal of personnel and examine who is fire affected. Allot fire warden and first aider or appointed personnel delegation to assist during such fire breaks. Provide contingency arrangements on site adequate to treat traumatic victims. These are only few, but there can be many more. Then comes training. Key personnel require training to respond to such emergency situation. Well-designed fire drills require to be conducted frequently. Safety leaders and engineers obliged to define, manage such drills. Safety leaders and other safety related officials obliged to train all personnel on site during such situations. Observations recorded during drills should be circulated for corrections in future or further you can say conferred during short conferences. You can say then test exercise schedule. Mock-up fire drills produced. Mock-up fire drill procedures for evacuation have been explained in foregoing. Person-to-person talks can be conducted by safety officials. Safety officials may visit each area and announce relevant possible exercise brief talks unscheduled. Schedules, if so charted out, add to unnecessary debates among personnel, leading to no constructive objectives. Arrange a test program for evaluating effectiveness of evacuation plan. Debrief meeting to establish faults in system and generate recommendations. Publicity. All emergency procedures should be publicly displayed. at all locations on sites as well as in offices and camps. Approved evacuation plans during fire emergencies should be posted on all office areas. All visitors should also be apprised about such procedures prior to conducting business with those persons. Telephonist, receptionist must have action list in event of emergency, declaration or bomb threat. Induction. Induction instruction is mandated given to all personnel whosoever shall be involved on site directly or indirectly. Accident investigation. All accidents occurring on sites require immediate attention by rescue, medical aid, investigation and reporting with precautionary measures as well as insurance claim application. Investigation panel and following actions. Immediately after accident has been reported, site leader and safety leader shall send alert, arrange for rescue operations whatsoever possible, call external services if so calculated to be essential, send victim to hospital, chart out investigation through appointment of certain competent panel. Competent panel shall investigate causes, photograph site and causes, interview those witnessed accidents, form opinion, and if so required, conduct reconstruction model to reach to as much accuracy as could be practically feasible. Investigation report should be circulated to all concerned key personnel. Further actions shall be requested by all those who are responsible for such post-accident actions. Victims shall be attended by competent officials both in hospital as well as in camp post-discharge. Rest shall be allowed to victim patients supported by nursing as directed by doctors. All required medicines and food shall be provided. Full attention shall be cared for allowed during victim's hospital stay. Post-discharge victim patient to live in accommodation which shall be provided until recovery, and work fitness is certified by medical officer, medical expert. Insurance claim shall be moved by responsible officials. All updates shall be informed to EPC contractor and engineer owner. Then we talk of performer. Let me see. Let's say it's performer. Approved formats shall be used for investigation, reporting purpose. All information necessary for analysis shall be written in. Even if all columns of format are not available, additional columns on format could be inserted to cover up all notes on report. No useful information should be left out. So now, as usual, I think we should think as such. Meanwhile, we have to wait for a few minutes. I'll come down and go. We have to wait for a few minutes for this to come back. So we continue about that. Sorry for a little delay in my coming down. No problem. It happens. What to do? Now, I was talking about responsibilities here. Classification of accidents based on severity of injuries shall be approved. The responsibilities is in this talk, in this meeting, classification of accidents based on severity of injuries. Injuries shall be approved. Competency dependent officials shall be paneled in for conducting investigations depending on classification. Categorize accidents by severity and produce a hierarchy to investigate. Costs of accidents. No cost can be defined for accidents. Life of human being is precious and no compensation can make up such losses. Even then, all personnel are insured by third party, which claims can be raised for compensation. Apart from loss of life or injuries, compensation may be decided and personnel or survivors may get some instant relief. Yet, properties would also be involved by such accidents. Moving, hoisting equipment may break. Due to fire, there can be no limit for losses. During oil leakage or break in oil pipes, heavy fires sometimes are broken out, which would not be easy to combat. Each project is unique and each activity is different, making it essential to work out job hazards. Analysis is on an individual basis. Even if cost of preventive measures is higher, that policy should be adopted. Levels of investigation. It is suggestive to investigate and report all incidents or accidents. On sites, there could be very nominal injuries that do not impact on working environment or cause a certain degree of panic, or whereon injury can be either cured by just application of first aid or by hospitalization in a normal manner. But all other serious incidents or accidents must be announced to be investigated for reporting and for referring to future precautionary measures. Communications is always a significant factor knowledge area to manage successfully. It has to be applied on various activities to cover safety related functions. Safety requires an excellent oral and written communication skill. Management profile. Define positions for personnel to accompany site walkthrough, as well as participation with senior management to monitor safety issues. Management can directly talk to site workers and other personnel regarding implementation, respecting safety related activities, as well as inquire about certain requirements which are considered to be additionally provided. Release of safety related bulletins from management or from organization desk to all personnel including workforce. Interface interaction. Regular interface or interaction between management, organization and staff up to line management and workers should be promoted, so that feeling exists among all that all are responsible for keeping of safety intact. Term interface is usually applied to state of resolution between different engineering disciplines, technical compatibilities, but could be applied herein as well for guidance. Toolbox talks, firewatch, all activities, interactions, drills should be encouraged. Formal daily interface between supervision and employees to be established, that is through task assessments, toolbox talks, etc. Personnel should be encouraged to participate by suggesting additional or better schemes for safety improvement. Weekly progress meeting. Minutes of meeting can be referred from records and verified at random about action taken or not. On recommendations during meetings. Interactive coordination committee communication. Interactive coordination communication. Ensure that interactive coordination communication do exist. Hence, communications do exist among workforce, supervisors and foremen, and also between various contractors personnel. In case of non-existence of such coordination, communications possible or corrective actions to be initiated. In case of non-existence of coordination or communications, possible or corrective action requires to be initiated. Subordinate localized meetings between line management organization and middle management organization. Personnel should be initiated for continuation. Problems should not be allowed to generate, but like loss prevention, it should be combated in advance so as not to impact work progress. Safety improvement. Invite suggestions from all personnel involved for measures, improvement considerations. Analyze suggestions and hear if so required. Suggestions can be useful. Good suggestions should be accepted for incorporation onto safety procedures. Responsibilities and accountability should be fixed accordingly. Monitor results from time to time for further evaluation. Information distribution communication. Whatever decisions have been taken or accepted based on either suggestions or by preliminary application of procedures should be included on to safety plan or procedures and communicated to all concerned personnel belonging main contractor, subcontractors or vendors. Training. On-job training is always of vital importance. Even if an individual personnel might have an opportunity to get such training in past, should also be included to refresh. Refreshing can be applied if something known earlier. Training is a continuous process. Update is a must. State-of-art technology keeps on evolving and knowledge must be updated by personnel. No knowledge update means no professionalism. Senior management organization has a responsibility to keep an update and extend an opportunity to subordinates to update in due time. General safety and safety on carrying out quality of works sections training are generally imparted to personnel from time to time. Trainings are conducted by using multimedia. Even skilled workers are trained on site for applications respecting various manufacturers' items. Safety is seriously involved with such activities, for example, application of chemical products. Induction. Induction. Safety induction is to be delivered to all personnel from management organization down to guard level. Explanation for what project is under construction to be included. Induction should include all basic safety measures to be observed on site during working hours. Such measures should depend on nature of project, works or activities to be performed. General medical examination is a part of it on major projects. In dry and humid weather, drinking water and other cold drinks requirements keeping site tidy, level of housekeeping, allowance, rest pauses, maintenance of temperature and sunstroke, understanding direction signs, understanding equipment movements, etc. All should be included as part of training scheme curriculum. Proper language. Proper language that can be easily understood by attendees should be used for explanation. Who is responsible to whom? And to whom personnel should report to regarding violation of safety should be clearly explained. What level of organization management is involved for makeup of safety provisions do require clear explanation. Monitoring procedures and consequences should clearly be discussed. Project specific. Explanation for what project under construction is all about and what shall be positive contribution by all personnel for area development. What pride is involved when working on such project. Explain regarding what type of safety hazards are expected on site during working hours. What safety measures should be certainly required on site activities. What shall be duty of workers during hazards or accidents, or keep a close watch on prevention of accident or hazards. Explain about total strength of personnel and their organizations, equipment available on site, type of risks involved, type of electric supply, whether heavy or medium voltage on site, essential PPEs, possible noise levels, night working or shift working, and relevant implications, etc. All input information should be conferred for a clear understanding. All workers should clearly know what they shall be doing and for what milestone. They should clearly understand about what risks they shall be facing during works. Supervisors and line organization management. Depending on involved risks on project, included activities, training respecting various topics should be imparted to executives who would be responsible for working on all such operations. Such trainings should be details like instructions. Working at heights. Working at heights. Supervision of subordinates and workers. Performing during dusty weather or adverse condition. Working duration, abnormal temperature. Working during abnormal temperature. Working during night hours. Operating defensive driving on site, keeping site tidy, safety walkthrough, supervising certificate, supervising safety, issues of permit to work for general, critical activities, cold works and hot works. Training certificates should be issued to successful candidates, given due validation and further renewal required. Responsible personnel should be elaborately taught about required procedures or method statements that would be complied with on respective significant activities. Now, these are certain activities that are for which training is a must. Working at heights means there are chances of falling from height if no proper safety measures are adopted. So it's very important. Height, any height, 5 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter, 20 meter, 50 meter. Supervision of subordinates and workers. You have to supervise your staff, your worker, your subordinate. How to handle them means something should be known to everyone. Though it's not that complicated because of responsibility they know, but yet it's important to know. In safety terms, performing during dusty weather or adverse condition. When it's very dusty, you may say you may not even stand due to whatever reason. So you have to say performing during dusty weather or adverse condition. Dusty weather is sun, dust and storm, or it's adverse condition, minus temperature, plus temperature. We have to handle this. Then you can say working during abnormal temperatures means 40 degrees, 50 degrees, 50 degrees, 55 degrees, minus 5 degrees. Working during night hours, you need light, you need everything, because nights everything is closed, every work is closed. Operating defensive driving is a very important one. Defensive driving, maybe people don't know this too much. You have to not attack on driving. You have to keep yourself safe and others safe. That is called defensive driving. Don't rush, let other pass. If that person has no patience, you keep patience, because your life is more important and that person's life is also important. Both are important. If that person is rubbish, you are not rubbish. Wait, wait and wait. Have patience. Particularly on projects which are industrial one, somewhere it is 5 kilometers per hour, somewhere it is 20 kilometers per hour, even on road, 10 kilometers per hour on roads. That should be understood. So working during night hours, operating defensive driving on site, keeping site tidy is very important. If your site tidy is clear of all, it's systematic one, you can say. Site is tidy, clean, it looks, means from every viewpoint this is okay. Safety walkthrough, you have to go to whole site, walk with people, walk with others, see what's happening, how they are working, are they complying with safety or no. It's like that, or you notify them. And supervising safety. When I say site, supervising safety and safety walkthrough. Safety walkthrough means you have to go to every corner of area of site and see where what is happening, are they coming into contact. And you can say keeping site tidy, safety walkthrough, supervising safety, and issue of permit to work for general critical activities, cold work and hard work. So these are just certain activities you can say we have to be very careful about. And training certificate you have to give. All candidates, successful candidates, given due validation and further renewal. Then responsible person should be elaborately taught about required procedures or methods. You can say statements that would be complied with on respective significant activities. Task instructions, now we come on to that. Task instruction. Task interaction are related to start and job hazard analysis. Line supervisors and foremen have to deal with direct control of site front activities. Line supervisors and line floor leaders, foremen, they should understand all implications of both processes. Start card or its equivalent job hazard analysis or assessment should be thoroughly understood and conducted or operated or processed by execution and safety team jointly. Specific tasks should be clearly instructed about both its procedures involved and about safe working handling from start to end of activities or records. Training syllabus should be well designed by experts so that right material is issued to trainees that shall be used on job. Training syllabus should be well designed by experts so that right material is issued to trainees that shall be used on job. Redundant and irrelevant material should be avoided. Clear expressions and explanations should be extended by trainers to all trainees. Confirmation should be ensured or made that all trainees do understand about what has been taught, instructed to them. Whatever necessary tests to be conducted should not put an impetus of worry to pass on trainees. When successful, another chance for testing should be extended. You can say when unsuccessful, another chance for testing should be extended. Uh, Purpose of training is that it should be utilized on job to produce a better product. All training details should be recorded for reference and duly audited whenever procedure wise due. Occupation, occupational risk on health. Needless to conceal facts that on construction sites involved personnel may be susceptible to many occupational linked health deterioration risks. Due to various effects, personnel may not avoid working off such activities, but precautionary measures would certainly be adopted as preventive measures. Occupational risk on health, I said. Needless to conceal facts that on construction site involved personnel may be susceptible to many occupational linked health deterioration risks. Due to various effects, personnel may not avoid working off such activities, but precautionary measures would certainly be adopted as preventive measures. Environmental effect being continuous process depending on weather conditions and type of disposal of sewage. Activities effect being related to type of activities, critical or non-critical, chemical or non-chemical, easy work and hard work would certainly expose workers to various types of body impacts. Found food effects being an important part but not unusually well understood by management organization. Good nutrient food is not served to personnel that may not replenish lost energy from personal body by consumed low degree nutrient food. Water effect. What about food is everybody should get good food. That's the meaning of this. If they worker or no worker, do not get them low nutrient food. They should get good food. Water effect. Continued water effect. You can say continued effect since treated water is not served to workers as required and as consumed by seniors. It's actually fact. Water is a considerable item for all involved on works and should be allowed to all personnel at least 5 liters each day to maintain body hydrate regularly and to avoid sunstroke. Labor hours of work, long hours of work. Now let me just Give me 5 minutes, I'll be back. Just I come back, don't worry, I'll take some water, open door and come back. long hours of work. Long hours of work. Sorry. When you see more than 10 to 14 hours are required to be worked upon by personnel, body is overstressed, leading to illness and loses, illness and loses and efficiency, or you can say losses and efficiency, both, lose or loss. You lose your efficiency, loss your efficiency if you 10 to 4 hours. So you have to keep in mind. Immediate effects is fatigue, fever, dehydration, body pain, headache, giddiness, dysentery or loose motion, vomiting, etc., and many more. Then this is immediate effects, and then post-application effects are continued sickness. You start feeling sick for many days, low blood pressure, non-interest on activities, availing many leave, don't come to job, inspired to sleep. Future effects are tuberculosis, hypertension, heart attack, asthma, blood pressure. So immediate, post and future. If you work too hard physically for 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours a day, you will be tired certainly. You lose water, you need more water, and how much more water can you take? You will get sick, you will get fever, your body start paining, you get headache, you get, you can't sit, you get giddiness, means you are not stable, your motion and vomiting and like that. And this is, immediately, but after some time, means you may be sick, for many days you do not come to job because of blood pressure, or you have no interest in the activity, like this, and then continuation of that goes to tuberculosis, hypertension, heart attack, asthma, blood pressure. These are general. I'm not doctor, so identification of what means review environmental conditions, which involve bad weather, contaminated land, adjacent sewage discharges, hazardous waste and extra emission foul gases, etc. So what is resolution is? Resolution to scheme of design training to meet such requirements. Campaign to inform, to disseminate all involved personnel by posters, talks, etc. Campaign to educate all personnel on issues such as dermatitis, systematic poisoning and routes of entry. Mandatory information, warning signs to be provided all at appropriate locations, namely no smoking in offices, mess halls, canteen facilities, wash your hands, hat, hard hat area, rest area, etc., etc., or whatever else. Canteen, catering facilities, regular cleanliness, keep clean, regular cleanliness and hygiene, inspections to be conducted, chart out required format to control and monitor compliance of required hygiene conditions for messing or canteen facilities, responsibilities about job titles to be defined explicitly. Noise control is also a big issue, which to be included during induction is noise control is to be included during induction. Various exposure levels to be defined in line to specified acceptance. Hearing aids to be made available wherever necessary. Supervising personnel to be trained for all such controls. Equipment noise either to be controlled or hearing aids to be used protectively during such noise creating operation hours. Temperature weather control, weather extremes, define acceptable temperature and humidity controls for healthy working conditions. Works have to stop immediately when such conditions exist. Certain exemptions may be allowed for activities such as concreting, etc., with additional precautions for technical supervision, meeting technical requirements, and administrative precautions for consumption of cold drinks by those personnel involved on concreting pouring activities. Rest pauses during activity to be included. Similarly, dust control or storms combating measures shall be included in decision whether or not to allow continuance of remaining day work, remaining day hours activities. In bad weather, dust environment, work shall pause until weather clears. Medical facilities. Define within contract on site define within contract all necessary statutory based medical provisions and to be available on sites all times during currency of contract for immediate medical aid. Define staffing levels, statements or criteria in terms of seniority, experience, and strength. In certain cases of involving major projects, doctor and male nurses may be appointed. Review location of available hospitals and types of emergency treatments imparted. Decide policy on range of equipment. Decide policy on range of equipment, medication, and probable treatment levels. Namely, medical facilities for first aid treatment would only have basics in terms of over counter drugs and dressings. I repeat, decide policy on range of equipment, medication, and probable treatment levels, namely medical facilities for first aid treatment would only have basics in terms of over-counter drugs and dressings. Facilities provided to cater for most eventualities in remote locations should have prescribed drugs and readily available advanced life support system. Responsibility about to audit facilities, verify use, issue, and record supplies to be assigned. Review expenditure and funding requirements for all such facilities. Records. Record for industrial related injuries as well as other injuries to be defined individually. Regular review of injuries to be carried out. Statistics about accidents to be displayed on project from initiation to current date. Permit to work. Operating authority has to define its policy for requirements of relevant permits for various types of major and minor works to be conducted within its jurisdiction of facility, which contractors shall be required to apply and obtain from after operator scrutinizes all aspects pertinent relevant areas under work ambit. Systems require PTW or permit to work. PTW or permit to work applies to various activities. Permit to work only for mobilization of site for temporary works. Permit to work for whole contract for permanent works. Permit to work for all individual activities of all types valid for either few days to few weeks. Permit to work for hot areas permit to work for confined areas, permit to work for hazardous areas, permit to work for specific areas, decide which system is required in terms of policy and contract. Similarly, pre-commissioning and commissioning requirements to be made out. Training required for personnel involved in permit processes. Organization administration. Ensure that responsibilities for permit system applications are included on safety plan. Ensure that responsibilities for permit system applications are included on safety plan. All details should be available for reference. Ensure all arrangements being adequate for overtime, weekend working. Review existing arrangements to ensure that wastage of time is reduced. Processing should be easier, typical, and with least procedure statements or carrying out methodology. Processing should be easier, typical, and with least procedure statements or carrying out methods. Detailed statements must be included with permit to work application for its support. A statement must be clear from initiation to closure of relevant activity. Even if traffic diversion is required, all details must be included within. Once work in that connection starts, should be completed without any considerable delay, even if it is required to be acted upon during night hours. Tie-ins. Establish interface meetings among various systems to ensure that all tie-ins to live plant, if applicable, are planned, coordinated, understood for compatibility, compliance, and prosecuted properly. Method statements for hot taps and other higher risk activities to be prepared and approved by competent authority. Vehicle entry. Policy on vehicle entry to site to be defined. Policy on vehicle access to site to be defined, that namely material passes, passes for materials, entry authorization, etc. should be explicitly elaborated. Ensure that requirements are notified to all contractors. Program of surprise checks to be established to ensure audit effectiveness of defined policy. Overall administration responsibility to be defined. Security passes. Protocol for processing personal security passes to be established. Registering of personnel who or refuse entry to site to be implemented in coordination with owner occupier of premises. Requirement for restricted area access procedure, that is switch rooms, to be reviewed. It is to be ensured that applications to obtain security passes should not consume many weeks or many days to avoid project time delay. Advance applications must be moved on relevant authorities or police or army as case may be. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Ensure that an effective strategy exists complying to minimum industrial and professional standards. Policy on site. Review safety plan to ensure that site policy is understood and implemented. Communicate to all concerned personnel about requirement and use of all such PPEs. Check, inspect, and audit on site. Educate people, educate personnel to use all such equipment under contractual mandate. After 1 or 2 warnings, start penalizing personnel by not allowing them to work on site without wearing adequate PPEs. Procurement. Ensure that responsibilities for procurement respecting PPE have been defined and should be implemented accordingly. Suggestion is to purchase on site from petty cash. Define acceptable standard for PPE approvals. Training for RPE, that is respiratory protective equipment. Identify and define requirement for training in respiratory protective equipment. Scope includes breathing apparatus, full face and nasal washes, plus cartridges, filters. Define and allocate responsibilities for ensuring that its training arrangements are adequate. Subcontractors. Pre-qualification in questionnaire, that is safety. Review questionnaire and relevant response to ensure that requirements for project are being fulfilled. Ensure that subcontractors do respond during kick-off meetings. Ensure that subcontractor does have document communicating safety technical backup pertinent to organization. Ensure that subcontractor does have capacity building potential for safe job prosecution. Ensure that subcontractor is well accredited by safety certified credentials. Subcontractors advised of site rules. Ensure that subcontractors are advised of contract site safety plans. Review contract site safety plan to ensure that it's updated with all inclusion relevant to project activities. Meetings can be conducted to make sure that subcontractors understand about various requirements, propositions, and also it is better to invite their suggestions. Roles, responsibilities. Job description should be detailed within safety plans related to various personnel responsible for safety assignments. Apprise all such provisions frequently to set intervals during contract currency. Subcontract compliance rating. Define auditing procedures for subcontractors' compliance respecting safety activities. Define auditing procedures for subcontractors' compliance respecting safety activities. Circulate safety audit reports to all relevant officials for improvement and compliance. Include incentive schemes wherever deemed necessary to improve safety levels. Disciplinary procedure. Examine subcontractors' procedures and approve if are in conformance with project requirements. Define formal policy for project pertinent work stoppages, prohibition notices and individual violations. Ensure that concerned departments, namely security, understand policies and effectively comply with it. Contractors' role. Notify to subcontractors, advising them of safety first performance to job first performance. Notify subcontractors, advising them of safety first performance to job first performance. Plan for communication to be defined and implemented, namely participation in audits, incentive schemes, etc. Attendance at safety meetings. Subcontractors are to be notified respecting definition of their roles, attendance and expected input into safety meetings. Chairmanship of contractor safety meetings to ensure that subcontractors' senior representatives are being notified timely. Steering committee to invite as necessary subcontractors representatives to participate in project safety program review, inspection and audit. Provide a formal program of inspections and audits that measures site performance. Review roles and responsibilities to ensure that inspections and audits are included correctly and duly conducted. Ensure that an audit scheme is scheduled to conduct that planned inspection and audit shall be effected and recorded in Action 5. Ensure that an audit scheme is scheduled to conduct that planned inspections and audits shall be effected and recorded in Action 5. Define scope of audits with regard to who should be included, namely short-term subcontractors and vendors may not be necessary for inclusion. Review inspections. Review inspections and audits to ensure identified actions are effective. Area supervision in charge to conduct regular planned inspections or work area in charge accompanied by employees representative. Implementation of conduct modification audit frequency. Formal metrics giving flow of audits and inspections to be predefined, which includes names of personnel to be involved. follow up. Establish a procedure for following up and carrying out remedial actions on noted safety problems. Ensure that a record is created on all action items. Ensure that a record is created on all action items. Review audits and actions to identify achievement trends. Review audit and actions to identify achievement trends. Environment issues. Environment issues. Ensure that environmental issues are known, understood, and resolved. Waste policy. Comply with statutory requirements for removing from site contaminated soil or other hazardous waste. Safety officials should ensure that all such waste should be disposed of accordingly. Housekeeping should be conducted accordingly so that it's not adversely affected by such impact of waste. Subcontractors are notified of complying with housekeeping and waste disposal policy effectively. Sanitation. Ensure that a sustainable policy has been working for providing toilets, washing facilities, and garbage disposal, etc. Emissions and discharges. Notify authorities regularly in respect of various discharges or emissions of pollutants of whatever class. Ensure that all personnel are notified of all contaminated areas located within or around places of works. Assign responsibility and define procedures to clean up all such discharges. Alright, now see again the authorities, notify authorities. So let us see what turned on this one. This one is 72%. Let me put it down. Notify authorities regularly in respect of various discharges and emissions of pollutants of whatever class. Ensure that all personnel are notified of all contaminated areas located within and around places of works. Assign responsibility and define procedure to clean up all such discharges. Security. Site watch and guard prevention of loss or theft. What is policy? Decide size, nature, and organization for site security. Ensure that all personnel are aware of policy regarding security offences. Define policy clearly about security. Notification of prohibited articles and such policy are to be served on all concerned. Security management organization system. Review effectiveness of security arrangements, conduct audit of records and practices. Ensure that profile respecting security personnel is professional or vocational. Access authorization. Ensure a procedure working for occasional or casual visitors, vendors to project that includes prior notification and preparation of entry cases, etc. Visitors should be clarified about required discipline and safety. Material movement. Material movement. Waste collections. Waste collectors to make provision for monitoring removal of waste from site, namely accompanying waste collection vehicles and random checks. Review arrangements for recording all materials delivered or discharged from site. Define procedures for removing materials from site. Then define now disciplinary procedures. Audit all procedures in line to considering applicable law, etc. All procedures approved for implementation should be in line to provisions on statutes. Site evaluation. Site evaluation. Review some practical aspects of site. Safety organization management program. Electrical arrangements. Clear policy on provisions of site supplied electricity voltage limits to be defined, including requirement of residual current devices and other safety features. Clear policy on provisions of site supplied electricity voltage limits to be defined, including requirements of residual current devices and other safety features. Procedure and approval are required for subcontractors to tie in to whatever existing electrical distribution. So what is that? Is that a clear policy on provision of site supplied electricity voltage limits to be defined, including requirement of residual current devices and other safety features. Procedure and approval are required for subcontractors to tie into whatever existing electrical distribution system available. Overhead power lines are to be highlighted. Corridor defined, protected, and proximity of value to tolerance to be established. Only industrial fittings shall be used for connections. You can say external installation should be industrial waterproof. No open or exposed cable shall be accepted. All cables shall be placed concealed within trunks. Then no open or exposed cables shall be accepted. No can be accepted, and all cables shall be placed concealed within trunk. Regular inspections shall be conducted by electrical foreman. Then testing. Assign responsibility for carrying out testing and approval program respecting site electricity, temporary supplies, procedure for checking and approving all plant equipment which shall be brought on site, namely cranes, forklifts, etc. Review training and competency testing scheme, requirement for operators of cranes, forklifts and other items of plant and equipment. Only certified operators to work on such equipment. Scaffolding. Define policy on provision of site scaffolding. Define specifications and standards to conform to which international or national standards. Assign responsibility for scaffold coordination and for approval of erected system. Formwork are to be subject to third-party design, inspection and approval. Have approval of certain scaffolding workers for all such activities to control scaffold use. Access. Review access requirements for movement of large loads, cranes, etc., and ensure that measures have been taken to facilitate them with required safety. Consider site layout and project schedules to ensure that smooth traffic movement can be maintained during all phases of work. Assign responsibility for traffic coordination. Flammable storage. Define policy on provision of refueling points for site vehicles. Dedicated cylinder storage, flammable paint store, etc. to allotted designated areas. So, dedicated cylinder storage, flammable paint stores, etc. to allotted designated areas. Then excavations, procedure to be developed for recording and inspecting excavations. Procedures to be approved for excavation work, considering up to what depth procedure is applied to, listing of personnel to approve procedures and permit requirements. Lifting equipment policy is to be defined on provision, storage and registration of Then we can see lifting equipment policies to be defined on provisions, storage and registration of rigging equipment. Procedures to be approved and implemented for issuing and control of all lifting equipment. Procedure on system required for introduction, movement and setting of cranes brought to site, namely third-party certification. Define no-go areas and interface problems. Laydown area. Allocation, setting and arrangement of laydown areas construction are to be clearly identified by site organization management team in consultation with engineer. Audit requirements shall cover laydown area facilities. Policy on subcontractors identification and limitations of use is to be established. Subcontractors' responsibilities for area are to be clearly defined. Fire plan. Uniform standards to be applied throughout all site office facilities with regard to provision of firefighting equipment. Appointment of responsible So uniform standards to be applied throughout all site offices, facilities with regard to provision of firefighting equipment, appointment of responsible persons, training, etc. Assign responsibility to develop an overall fire plan for all office areas, distributing various site parts into zones based on defined risks. Ensure that requirements of fire plan production and compliance are instructed and observed by all contractors. So, what actually we did today? This was one file which relates to quality of safety, which I generally take into consideration. This is a minimum requirement that quality has to take care of. This this talk of safety actually is talk of quality and safety. That point you have to understand very well. Quality and safety. It's not simple. Safety, which is of paramount importance for everyone. As I say, usually safety is the responsibility of each and everyone working on site. It be personal safety, it be work safety, it be safety during transportation, safety during resting, safety during walking on site, and if something is not included which may be required on site, but depends on what sort of site is that. There is no hard and fast conclusion on this statement. This is the only way. It is just, you can say, a statement, we can say it is. To be very frank, this is only organization of safety. There are so many other talks on this which are here. I can simply say that this would be this, for example, this was chapter management system. There would be chapter on site security, and then it would be hand tools, then first aid regulations, permit to work, housekeeping, safety training, emergency and evacuation plan, fire protection, PPEs, excavation safety, control, storage and use of hazards, incident reporting, incident reporting, lifting, rigging and hoisting, radiography operations, night working, scaffolding and leaders, temporary electric supply, welding and cutting, you can say, working at height and fall prevention, abrasive wheels, construction, environment controls, hazard controls, confined space entry, road safety and vehicle operation, reverse system, compressed gas cylinder. We can say compressed gas cylinders, heat stress, safe practices, disciplinary enforcement, safe work, inspections and audits. Then you can say Takrir, HSC plan, IRP projects, construction safety, safety sketches, about 35 to 37 talks here, important one. Of course, safety is very important subject, and of course it's boring too, but boring or no boring, we have to digest. It doesn't mean you can't say it's boring, I won't do it. Safety is boring, but it is life saving. Boring, but life saving, and that's important. If you save life, you save everything. If you don't save life, you can't save everything here. Life is life. Boring is boring. You have to understand this point. Title is safety, COVID and all. Again I say, COVID is going to impact on everyone. We have to take precautionary measures everywhere, or else we will do nowhere. That points get worry. So I can simply say that we can simply say that quality plus SHE are combined in combination, very important talks. We should not forget that. Without which I say nothing can work. Without which nothing can work. Safety, health and environment is very first consideration on every activity, supported by ergonomics. No safety, no pain, and no safety, no pain. That's main point here. No safety, no pain, and safety management system we talked of. I think we've gone a lot in this. It's better. We just moved around regarding, so just have a browse on this. Safety management system, responsibilities. I think we should now tune down this. So I think we should take now off this. Thank you very much, gentlemen.